Welcome to the show, guys. Unmasking the Blueprint is a unique visual podcast that will begin each show with a blueprint shuffle. Yep, you heard me correctly. We will be shuffling. Grab a pen and a paper because the nuggets will be dropped for you to use and grow. We will interview business owners and music artists, and you'll be able to meet the person behind the brand. Each show will have a giveaway, so stay tuned to win.
Hey guys, thank you, husband, as always, being the great husband that he is. Okay, welcome, guys, on this wonderful Tuesday for tuning in. Y'all know it is Domestic Violence Month, and so I just wanted to bring in psychologists, psychiatrists, firms, so they can come in and talk to us about how important mental health is. And so I have our boss, y'all. She has her own counseling service. You know, let me find her. Let me let her introduce herself. Hold on, let me see. Hey, Miss Tanya, how are you, Miss Anderson?
I am doing well. How are you?
I am so excited. I am so glad that you was able to fit us in your busy schedule.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me.
I am glad that you are here. Please tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi,
a little bit about what you do.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya Anderson, and I'm the owner of Anderson Counseling Associates. I've been a psychotherapist for a little over 20 years. I work with everyone from people who are suffering from depression, anxiety, families, people who deal with family conflict, and just a number of different situations. And so I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited about the opportunity to answer questions and just share everything I can on mental health.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shay. Thank you, Free. Thank y'all so much for tuning in on this Tuesday. Y'all better get y'all pen and y'all papers, honey, because she's about to give us some nuggets on how to get our life together, okay?
Absolutely.
I love it. Okay, so what made you go into that field, the psychology field?
So it's actually an interesting story. It started in childhood. I was growing up, and a lot of people don't know this about me, but I grew up in a household with a mother who suffered from major depression. I had two brothers, both who were drug addicts, and I had a father who was an alcoholic. And so I was the baby. I was about 10 years younger than my closest sibling. And so growing up, I never knew a brother or a sibling that wasn't addicted to drugs. I never ever knew a mother that did not have major depression. And so as I got older, I recognized that I wasn't able to help them, but I was able to help so many other people. And so I got into the world of psychology just to, one, better educate myself, to understand my own personal trauma and what I was going through. It really started about me just wanting to kind of understand myself. But going into it, I realized that it was a gift that I really believe has been God-given, and I've been able to help a lot of people, but it really started from trauma as a child.
Wow, that is amazing. Shay said, "Hey, Tanya!" Like exclamation point, question mark. She is like screaming over here. Baby, y'all know I don't play with y'all. When I bring the guests on the show, I bring the guests on the show. Y'all hear me? I don't be playing with y'all. Okay, so we definitely appreciate. So, okay, so we talked about how you got started. So, how did you get that niche? I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. So actually what I did is I started off when I graduated high school, I started going to a little small community college, actually as a senior in high school. I was going to this community college in my city called College of the Mainland. Shout out to College of the Mainland in Texas City. That's where I got my start. So I started going there when I was a senior in high school. I took my first psychology course as a senior in high school. I was doing both dual education. Then I went off to U of H. At U of H, I learned more about psychology. And so I received first my degree at U of H. I went on to get another degree, and I have to get licensed in the state of Texas. So it allows you have to go through about 3,000 hours of working with clientele and patients and really honing in on your craft. I did that. After that, sat for the licensing exam that's to the state of Texas, and that allowed me to go into private practice. And so I've been doing that for, like I said, a little over 20 years, off and on. I took a little bit of time out. What I ended up doing, I first started working with children who were abused mentally, sexually, verbally.
Mm.
And I did that as a very young therapist. I was straight out of school, and I realized that I wanted to bring all of those kids home with me. And it just wasn't the right thing for me. At the same time, pharmaceutical sales was booming. That's where they were making like real big money. And I wasn't making any money like that. So I left. I went into pharmaceutical sales. I made a little money there. And then I came back to psychology because I realized it was my passion. And so it was what was important to me. It's what brought me the most joy. And so I've been back in psychology ever since.
So it's two things out. First off, she said 20 years and she looked like she about 20. So we're gonna leave that alone. Okay. Girl, you look amazing. That's one. Okay, two, Chelsea said that is so inspirational. She said she take her counseling exam next month. So way to go, Chelsea. Yay.
Way to go. Way to go. Study. There are a number of different things that you can use in order to study. I mean, I was sleeping with my books. I was studying 12 hours a day, but I believed in myself. There was, even during my exam, I ended up going into the bathroom. I remember being in the middle of the exam and saying, like, Lord, I've got to pass this exam. I went into the bathroom in the middle and prayed.
I love it.
Went back out, finished the exam. I passed it. Many people pass it the first time and many people don't. If you don't get it the first time, don't worry about it. You take it another time. It doesn't make you any less of a therapist. If you took if you had to take it 2 times, no different than lawyers have to take the bar exam. So don't get discouraged, but study really hard.
I love that. I love that. And so that's the purpose of unmasking. You know, it's so I can have entrepreneurs come on here and drop the tea to help inspire entrepreneurs. Because some people get so, like you said, get so discouraged, but they have to know, like, there are people who take the exam over and over, you know, but that doesn't make them less qualified. I love it. I love it. She said, thank you so much for sharing. Such a blessing.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good luck.
Shamitria Washington, we are not finna let you get us off task, okay? She said, remember Dairy Queen? I cannot. We are not getting off task on this show. We got off task another show behind Shay. Shay, stay focused, Shay. Stay focused. We're going to the next question. I'm not responding to that question. God darn it. So what advice would you give someone who is suffering from depression? Oh no, I don't have another question first.
Okay.
What work have you done for single moms?
All right. So this is most of my answers. I'm going to have a personal reason why I'm answering the question. I really believe that this is a gift from God, but I also believe that there are certain things that fall in my lap because God is allowing me and preparing me to help that next client that comes in front of me, that sits on my couch. And so I always say that the reason I believe I'm an effective therapist is, one, because I have the education, the license, and the degree. I have everything that I need to do it. But I also have a lot of real world experience. I've experienced this. So if my clients are suffering from something, oftentimes I've suffered from something similar. Very transparent. I don't believe in acting like I'm perfect. I believe in saying, you know what, I've been there. I know what you're going through, and I can work with this. I can work with you through this because I've had to do it myself. But when it comes to being a single mom, I was married. And when I got married, I literally thought I was going to be married my entire life. I thought that, you know, my mom was a single mother. My grandmother was a single mother. I just knew that I was going to break that generational curse. I knew that I was going to be the one that provided a full nuclear family for my children. And so I ended up going through a divorce. It's not something that I wanted to do. I always say my little toe didn't even want to go through that divorce, but sometimes life throws a curveball, and sometimes you have to make a decision that's best for yourself, even if it's not what you want. And that was one of those moments that I had to choose me. And I chose me, and chose me led me into being a single mom. And then here I am, a single mom. I had these 2 little boys. I was trying to figure out, like, how do I, as a woman, raise 2 boys to be men? Because we're not raising boys, we're raising men. Like, that's the outcome. That's the goal, right?
Right.
How do you date as a single mother? You know, like, when do you introduce someone? How do you deal with the stressors that you have? Because you're still a woman, you're still heartbroken. Some people are still dealing with finances and all these other things. What does that look like? And so I was able to navigate through it. My situation was a little different than, say, my mother and some other single mothers that I knew, but it was still a challenge for me.
Right.
And so I developed the Modern Mommy. And what the Modern Mommy was that I started support groups, and I would get women from
Mm.
around Houston to come in, and I would do workshops on Saturdays, and I would go through the Modern Mommy, all the different things to consider as being a single mom, and how do you navigate that. And then we would do workshops. I would do pro bono counseling for single moms in order to help mothers to figure out, what does this look like? There's not a book. There's no way for you to know. It's
Right.
oftentimes something that catches you by surprise. And that is and continues to be such a passion project for me. I want to start doing more of these workshops, and that is a part of my plan. But so the work that I've done for single mothers is helping them to navigate being a single mother, not being afraid of the stereotype, not being ashamed of the stereotype of being a single mother, which was my issue, but to be effective and to recognize that you can still raise really incredible children, even if you are doing it on your own.
Wow. Wow. I love it. I love it. And I don't know if y'all heard this. I'm gonna say it again. I love that she said that she's doing her passion for free. She gets paid for a job, but she doesn't mind doing her passion for free. And I think that's one of the things that I just love that we do, as, and I don't say men don't do it, but as women, as people, as entrepreneurs, it's so good that when you have something that you're able to give to the world, give it to the world so that the world can heal. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love it. Because there are so many single women, and you said something. I want to make sure that y'all heard it. It is some type of shame being a single mom. Even the men make you feel the shame. Uh, Older adults make you feel the shame, and so it's a feeling of being ashamed. But it's not. And like she said, she had to posture up and realize, like, let me put my big girl drawers on. Let me readjust and redo my thinking, and let me help other women redo their thinking, because you're not raising boys. She's raising men. She's raising boys to be men. I loved all that. All that she said. I hope y'all got all that. I got all that tea. Okay.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who is suffering with depression?
I would first say it's important to understand some of the symptoms of depression. Oftentimes, people will use different words that feel more palatable for them. It's something that feels easier to say, and so they may just say, "No, I'm not depressed. I just get pissed off sometimes, or people just get on my nerves, or I'm just angry, or I just always tired." There's a lot of different symptoms that really are red flags for depression. If all of a sudden you're eating more or eating less, that's a sign of depression. It's possible at the very least, right? If all of a sudden you're sleeping more or sleeping less, you all of a sudden can't wake up, or you're just having insomnia. You're waking up all through the night. Your heart is racing. You lose interest in different activities. You used to love going out with friends, or used to love going bowling and doing different things, and all of a sudden you're isolating and you're to yourself. You're not returning phone calls. You're not, talking to your friends the way that you would normally talk to your friends. Maybe you're missing work more often than not, or missing school. Any of those things, they can be signs of depression. And so it's first identifying some of those symptoms. There's something called the PHQ-9.
Mm-hmm.
PHQ-9. It's something that you can Google. There's also something called the GAD-7, the GAD-7. Those are two assessments. You can Google those two. You can easily find a free assessment. It'll ask you about 12 questions. It may take you 5 minutes. If you do those assessments, it'll give you, at the very end of the assessment, it'll rate whether or not they feel like you have depression. For one is an assessment for depression, one's an assessment for anxiety. Or if you have anxiety, it'll tell you whether it's mild, whether it's moderate, or whether it's severe. That's a great start if you even suspect that you have, if you're dealing with depression. You take the assessment. If it says that you have depression, then contact someone. Psychologytoday.com. It's a great resource. It allows you to filter your insurance, or if you're cash payer, what type of insurance you have, your zip code, if you're looking for an African American or whatever it is that you're looking for. And you can find a therapist through psychologytoday.com, and they will be that's the step. The first step is seeking help. Once you seek the help, they're going to help you with the rest. That's the most difficult part. Just making the call, making the appointment. When you make the appointment, then you're ready to move forward. If you're interested with me, my website is www.LaTonyaAnderson.com. And so I have a lot of information on that website that you can also use as a resource.
Guys, that was a lot of information. I'm gonna see if she can give us those. I'm gonna go back and watch it. I see if she'll drop it to us, and I'm gonna drop the information because that is so important. So many people are committing suicide. Some people are so depressed. They don't even. I think they don't even care if they're depressed no more. Okay, you're just walking into depression at this point. And so, yes, great information. So Shay said, did you participate in the EAP program?
I do. I participate in several EAP programs. It depends on what EAP it is. Every company has a different, for those of you who don't know, it's a EAP is Employee Assistance Program. It's where employers will pay for anywhere from 3 to 10 sessions for free. Wow. And so it's important to ask your employer. A lot of employers do have these programs, but a lot of people don't know that the employer offers it. So you go to your human resources, you will say, do we have an EAP, and am I eligible for it? And if so, they will give you a code, and you could bring that code. Most EAPs I am a provider for. If I am not, you can request me to be a provider for that EAP.
Wow, that is a good question, Shay. Wow, that was good. I didn't even know that. So Free said, "Is the EAP program? Is it a great program for employees?" Oh no, she said it is a great program for employees. Great, guys. Great question, guys. So I know y'all gonna think like she answered this question. If you feel like you answered, you don't have to answer it again. But I had written it down. What is depression? You feel like you already answered? If you did, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I can answer it. Depression, essentially, if you are not feeling like yourself, if you have any of those symptoms that we spoke about earlier, if you, you just find yourself, like I said, isolating or just having a change, that can be depression. And so learning about that, doing the assessment will allow you to know whether or not you have it. But if you find yourself not feeling like yourself, losing motivation, starting to feel helpless, starting to feel hopeless, people may call it the blues. People may call it sad. If all of a sudden you're incredibly angry, you're snapping, you're irritable, that's also a sign of depression. So any of those symptoms that you have, you could be suffering from depression.
Okay, so like irritability is not like, that's not my sign. That's just not because I'm a Scorpio, right?
It could be.
Okay, so I tell people name Jocelyn Brock. No.
Jaleesa Brock.
Jaleesa Brock said, "Hey." Free said, "Thank you for explaining." Free said, "Excellent information." Okay, so she explained depression. Now, could you explain to us, like, what's the difference? So, what is anxiety?
All right, that's a great question. So, anxiety and depression are like cousins, because depending on how it presents within you, it can feel the same. Anxiety, the way that you can kind of consider this on TV, anxiety they are very dramatic with it. People are taking deep breaths, they're having to breathe into a bag, they're like sweating, their hands are just sweating. It can look like that, but anxiety could also be procrastination. Some people will just be horrible procrastinators, and they'll go 20 years talking about, I'm just a procrastinator. Reality, they may have anxiety and they're avoiding that feeling. So like, let's say you have to make a phone call to someone that it's going to be a stressful phone call, or you may have to say something that you feel like is going to create conflict. That feeling that you feel inside could be a feeling of anxiety. If your heart starts racing, if you start recognizing, like, I just don't want to do this, or I can't talk to that person, or I can't go to this place. Fear. If you start feeling a lot of fear and uncertainty, all of those could be signs of anxiety. It could be something that's really major, where, like I said, you're breathing hard and and unable to catch your breath, or you can be very calm and be feeling it internally.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate it. So somebody said, so what about people with paranoia?
So paranoia is different. Paranoia is it depends on how it presents. It really can come in different forms. So some people who you'll see a lot of paranoia with, they'll be diagnosed with schizophrenia. Schizophrenia and that paranoia is like a break from reality. So it's like they are no longer understanding what is real. They're having a break from reality, and so that paranoia comes like all of a sudden. Maybe they think people are out to get them. They think people are outside. Sometimes they can even visually think that they see someone. It's called a visual hallucination, or they have auditory hallucinations. They think people are telling them to do things. They think people are telling them to, like, I'm going to kill you, or it almost always is something very negative. I've only had one person with hallucinations that thought it was funny, that their voices were really funny, but that paranoia can come in many ways. So it can come in the form of schizophrenia. There could be some paranoia at a much lower level in the spectrum, and that can be forms of anxiety. Like, for instance, somebody who has high anxiety may feel scared to leave their house because they think if they leave their house, they're going to get in a wreck. They're not having a break from reality. They're just fearful. They're paranoid about something bad happening. And so that's the other way that it can present.
Got you. I got you. That makes sense. Good question. Good question. Free said, wow. Okay, that was a good question. Oh, guys, this is a lot. This is a lot on this plate. Okay. So what's the difference between a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a I can't even say the word.
A psychologist, psychiatrist, and a psychotherapist.
Psychotherapist is the one out here. That's what you are. I was like, what?
No. That's a big question for a lot of people. So essentially,
no, for real, I really want to know.
Yeah, no. So what we first had psychiatrists and psychologists.
Right.
And what happened is insurance companies got involved a while back. And they decided, like, why are we paying psychologists to do this work when we can pay psychotherapists? So psychotherapists, just think about the therapist part. That means that these are the people who are going to be actually sitting down talking to you. They're going to be working through your feelings and your emotions and listening to you and helping you to understand who you are and what your trauma may be. They are the therapists. They're in there actually working with you. A psychologist, a modern psychologist, is someone who's going to be doing testing. They may be testing you for ADHD. They may be testing you to see if you have, let's say, narcissism, or if you have different other diagnoses. So they're going to do a lot of testing. They may do some therapy, but they're mainly in testing and research. So you're going to see them usually for testing and research, and at times for therapy. Now, a psychiatrist, the only thing they're doing is writing medication. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor. So they went to medical school, and then they did extra schooling for basically psychiatry to understand mental illness in order to write prescriptions for that. You may see them for 15 minutes. They'll write you a prescription and send you on your way. They're not helping you with your problems. They're helping you with your medication. So you leave a psychiatrist and you go to a psychotherapist.
Got
So
you.
a lot of times people have two, and that's why.
Oh, that's good. You know what? Okay. Y'all, I played this. I don't know about y'all, but my plate is full over here. So somebody said, is there a test for narcissistic behavior?
Narcissistic behavior.
My bad. I'll be standing up.
That's okay. So you can have narcissistic characteristics. There's not a test for that necessarily, because everyone can have narcissistic characteristics, but you can be tested for narcissism as a disorder. And it's done through a personality test. So yes, and that would be done with the psychologist.
So the answer is yes, then.
Yes.
I think that's what she's asking. So yes, the answer is yes. All right. Y'all asking some good questions, but y'all know I can't really see. I'm trying to pull them up, and y'all know I be fumbling on these words. Okay, so where we at? So let's see what else we have. So how do people know if their loved one has? How do I know? It's even my job tonight. How do I know, like, how to help my loved one?
Yeah, that's a hard one. oftentimes we hear people say like they're just crazy. But if people, you know, and you hear that all the
we
time, like
do.
my uncle just crazy. Some
Right.
of these people are not just crazy; they have mental illness, and the reason why it's important to note that is that with mental illness, they don't always have the control that people think they have. You know,
Mm.
um, I recently had my niece to say we were talking about Jeffrey Dahmer. You know how Jeffrey Dahmer is the big thing right now, this serial killer, because there's this Netflix special, so everyone's talking about him. And she said, "Well, he's not crazy because he chose." And I'm like, there can be someone with mental illness that can make a choice, but the choice is based out of mental illness. And so that's different than
Mm.
just wanting to be crazy. So the way that you help someone is first really pay attention and see if their patterns, see if they start to have break from realities. Like, are they starting to talk about seeing people or hearing things? You know, are they that's for if there's psychosis? Are they staying in their bed longer than normal? Do you hear? Are they all of a sudden giving things away? Here you can have this. They're all of a sudden giving all their stuff away. They're not talking about life like there's a future. They're talking about life like today is the last day, or saying things like, "I just can't take this anymore. I don't want to be here any longer." If you start to see those things and hear those things, you ask questions, you try to convince them to go somewhere and to speak with someone. If it's something that happens and it's a crisis in that moment, there's this thing called the CERT team. Everyone should know this information. It's called the CERT team, CIRT.
Mhm.
They are in conjunction with the police department. If
Mm.
you have someone who's just losing it, but due to like some type of mental illness, not just that they pissed off, but like some type of mental illness, when you call the police officer, and this is important, especially for African Americans, because so many times African Americans with mental illness are perceived as aggressive. And when the police come, the police are not coming to help someone with mental illness. They're coming to
Right, right.
so you need to know that you call and you ask for the CERT team. You say, my loved one is not dangerous. They're struggling with some mental illness and we just need help. And so they'll send a CERT team. So you can get them help that way. You can take them to an emergency room and you can tell the emergency room what's going on if they're willing to go there. And then the last option that you can do if you need to help a loved one, if they're not willing to do any of these other things, or if those are not options, is you can go to MHMRA. MHMRA. It's through the Harris County. And you can request that they help you to do an involuntary hold on your loved one to get them put in the hospital and stabilized so that somebody can help them.
This was a lot of great information. And I don't know if anybody have any more questions, but this was a lot of great info, like a lot. And so I definitely appreciate it. And so this was like way more than what I even thought. Like when I planned the show, like I purposely planned October to be filled with knowledge for domestic violence, for we just got off of suicidal month. I don't know if I've said that word. I mean, I don't know.
Suicide awareness. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, suicide awareness. And so I kind of wanted it to kind of flow in together. And so people who's watching can kind of get, because a lot of times people don't seek help. They rather be on Facebook looking and strolling and watching their different shows. And so this may be the only thing that they see, And so this could save a life. And so I try to make sure that my shows always have some type of good nuggets for people,
Absolutely.
And so I'm so excited. Everything you said was amazing. So before she give us the good nuggets, guys, she's giving away a $25 gift card. But let me tell y'all how y'all get it. So so you have to go to Instagram. Y'all have 3 days. That's how she's giving y'all 3 days to roll on over to Instagram. You have to go to what's the link?
You go to LaTonya_Anderson_counseling on IG. Follow me. And then under the podcast post that's there, say that you saw the podcast or whatever you want to say under the podcast. Leave me a message.
Leave a message. Say great show. Okay. And then on Thursday, everybody from tonight into Thursday, she's gonna raffle y'all names in, and she's gonna pull a $25 gift card. Okay.
Yes.
And so amazing, super excited. So you have a website too, right?
I do. www.LaTonyaAnderson.com. It's my name, LaTonya. Tanya's with an O. So LATONYA Anderson.com.
So let me tell y'all know how I do. I always just invite myself to stuff. So I heard her say that she's going to start back having events again for single moms. So as soon as I hear about that event, guys, I am putting a buzz inside Unmasking group. So for my single moms, I'm inviting y'all to her event. the nerves of folks. Okay. So I'm asking her in advance, can we get the hookup? And if she say yes, I'm going to actually drop it in there, because
absolutely,
at the end of the day, that's what we do, guys. We take care of our listeners. We're here to make us all whole. Michael Jackson said it best. Okay, we are the world. We are here to make the world a better place. You absolutely. And me. Okay, so I love it. I love it. So give us some nuggets before we go.
The main thing I would say is that if you or a loved one are struggling in any way, whether it's with anger, depression, anxiety, anything, get help. Talk to someone. Don't hold it in. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't think that you could do it alone. Ask around, get help, talk to your human resources if you can. The most important thing is not to think that you're alone in this. You are not. So many people are suffering from depression and anxiety and so many other things, so many other challenges, heartbreak. You want to talk to people and you want to get help. The longer you wait, the more difficult it will be to come out of it. The sooner you get help, the sooner you can see yourself living the life that you want to be. Living life is the goal. You don't want to endure life. You want to just be making it day by day. You want to live life to the fullest.
Oh my gosh, I so love that. I so love everything she said, guys. Amazing. Are you going to dance us out?
I'm ready.
All right, Mr. Pence. She gonna dance. Pence, she said, "Where her music at, Mr. Pence?"
That's okay.
Come on, Mr. Pence, let's go. And thank you so much for being on the show. Oh my God, it was so good. Everything was so great.
You ready?
Uh-huh.
Now you know I don't got no, you don't have no rhythm.
Girl, me eat the girl. Don't worry about it.
Thank you for tuning in today. It would mean the world to me if you will leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to my show. Please share with your family and friends if you enjoyed the show. This show, Unmasking the Blueprint, is for you. So send me a message with the topics you want us to discuss. Until next time, y'all stay safe.